First and foremost, I want to give praise to the King of the universe, who's selected us from all the peoples on the earth to give us his Torah. Yahweh, we thank you. We thank you, Yahweh, for being our Elohim. Yahweh, we thank you for remembering us, and we thank you for not forgetting the covenant that you made with our ancestors, Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. Yahweh, we thank you for the land that you promised us. And Yahweh, we thank you for your instructions, which is called your Torah, Yahweh. Yahweh, teach us your ways and teach us your mitzvot and teach us your kukim, your decrees, and your moedim, Yahweh. Let us draw near to you. Let us have a desire to know you even more than what we already do, Yahweh. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Praise be to the living Elohim. Yahweh is amazing, and often we don't even think about it, like we don't even take the time to even think about like where we live and how everything is just continually running. You know what I mean? If it was left upon our hands, I think if everything was left in my hands, where do you think everything would be? You know what I mean? Would you want to be responsible? You know what I'm saying? For feeding everyone and everything? Do you want that?
No.
It's depending on what you do. How will we begin to even manage? You know what I'm saying? The weather and all that kind of stuff. The weather is happening because he tells it to happen. Feeding everything and then gives the light and the sun and tells it to move in certain places. And it lets it rain in one place and let it be dry in another place. And it's all in cycles. And we live here and we're part of it. We had an opportunity to come here and to get to even meet each other. Don't have me break down in tears. I want to share something with each and every last one of you, and I want you to hear me and hear me well. I honor the fact that you've been part of my life. I honor that. I honor the Most High, and I'm thankful for you. I'm thankful that you have confidence and trust in me to even sit and listen to what I'm teaching you. You know, it's beautiful. I get to meet you. I get to, have conversations with you all. I get to share your parts of your life with me, and I get to share my life with you. And we're able to do that right now in this exile, in this place of trouble. Look at the compassion that the Most High has shown unto his people. Often we read, and sometimes we like to quote it, but it's just the truth. He said, I'll never forsake my people. Our situation right now is happening to us because of the decisions that our ancestors made, okay? And the decisions that we've made. I'm of the understanding that when he talks to Israel in chapter number 30, he's talking to us. I don't understand how it works. I can't pinpoint exactly, but he says, when you are in the lands of your enemies, when you're there and you start thinking about what's happened to you, you make up your mind, you start thinking, you say, it's time for me to do something. Something ain't right. How's everybody else, doing well? And this other stuff these people are talking about ain't nothing but a lie. It don't feel right. Anyway, I want to share with you something that the Most High shared with me through our Torah this week. It's the Haftarah. In one of the books, there's different Haftarahs, but this one popped up for the reading. I know it says Isaiah 66, and that's part of it too, but you can find little other passages in Kings and the prophets that line up with what our Torah portion is. So let's look at the importance of the Haftarah, and let's try to find some similarities and connections between our Torah portion and what I'm going to read to you tonight. So beginning with verse number 1, it says, Shlomo formed an alliance with, I want to say his Hebrew name, Paro, which is the king of Mizraim. And he's marrying Paro's daughter. And he brought her into the city of David, where she lived until he had finished building his own palace, the house of Elohim, or Yahweh, and the wall around Yerushalayim. So it was a big construction project. Verse number 1, what's the connection between this and the Torah portion?
He's going to Mitzrayim.
Yes.
And he married the daughter like Yosef.
Yes, exactly. Okay. So marriage is generally to make alliances. So he's making an alliance with Mitzrayim. Okay. You would never think that one of the kings of Israel will go back to a place where we're in bondage. But what allows us to do such a thing is the Most High did say, he says, the people of the land of Canaan, I want you to wipe them out. But he tells them, don't mistreat a Cushite. Don't ever mistreat a Cushite. Why? Somebody tell me why. A Mizraim. Why does he tell us not to mistreat them? Think about it. What did he say? He said, because you guys used to live in their land and you were a stranger. You were a stranger in their land. So you mean to tell me that you can have these people abuse us and then you tell us not to be mad at them? Yeah. That's exactly what he said. Okay. So he says, don't be mad at the Cushite. Even though they're part of the land of Ham, right? They're part of their family. He says, don't be angry with them because you were a stranger in their land. And also, too, did they hate the children of Israel? Did they mistreat the children of Israel? Did the Mizraim mistreat Israel?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
they did. And who caused them to mistreat the people of Israel?
Yeah.
Yah caused them to mistreat the children of Israel. You understand? So we see here, I want all of us to wake up to the fact that our Elohim is the cause of anything that goes down with us. He'll cause people to hate you. He'll cause people to mistreat you. He'll cause people to not to have compassion on you. He will cause it. But also, too, he'll cause somebody to love you and have compassion on you. Yah has done these things. Okay. The other, so Dr. Yerib pointed to is the Paro, the king of Mizraim. He's in Mizraim, right? Then he talks about the other connection is marrying Paro's daughter, which Paro gave Yosef a what? What did he give him?
Wife.
He gave him a wife. Okay. And so he's making in essence, he's really making an alliance. You see? And so he brought her into the city of David, and she lived there and finished the building of his own place, the house of Yahweh, and the wall all the way around Yerushalayim. So when you guys read in Psalms where David talks about the walls of Yerushalayim, and he talks about the building and the temple of the Most High, he's prophetically telling you about what's coming. Because David wasn't around when this happened. He drew out the plans, but he wasn't around. Okay. And you can see that in chapter number 2. David was dying. He's in his last days, and he gives Shlomo information, which we'll try to read a little bit about that. So you can see David's mindset before he died. Okay. Verse number 2, the people, however, were still sacrificing on high places because no house had yet been built for the name of Yahweh. Okay. So the house of the temple is built for Yahweh's name. That's so his name can live there. Okay. Shlomo loved Yahweh. Shlomo loved Yahweh. Okay. Which we see that Shlomo in the end, he failed Yahweh because he married a whole bunch of different foreign women, which he didn't supposed to, right? The women that Yah says, don't touch these women. And Yah gave very specific information about why a king should not have multiple wives. Why should he not marry anybody outside? Because he said, they're going to draw your heart away from me. So he did that, but we see here that Shlomo loved Yahweh. So in context, right now, he's in good standing. And he said he was living according to the regulations that was set forth by David, his father. Okay. So we know that if we want to prove, because we have to prove, you and I have to prove our love towards Yahweh. And we have to do that by living according to the regulations. okay, that are set forth by Yahweh his father. Nevertheless, he sacrificed and he made offerings on the high places. Okay. Now, some might say, well, the high places, Yah gets on them about offering high places. At this moment, he's not, because simply they don't have a temple, right? So at one time, King Shlomo went to Givon to sacrifice there, and because that was the main high place. So everybody was going there. So Shlomo offered 1,000 burnt offerings on the altar there. As we continue to read, we're going to find out that Yah did not have a problem with this at this moment, okay? At Givon, Yahweh appeared unto Shlomo in a dream at night, and Elohim said, tell me what I should give you. This is beautiful. Tell me what I should give you. What's the connection between this and the Torah portion? What are some of the elements in verse number 5 that make you think about the Torah? I mean, the portion that we read this week.
Dreams.
Yes. So there's dreams. Okay. So Yahweh can show up to anybody at any time in a dream or a vision. Okay. So, and in here, again, Yahweh appeared to Shlomo in a dream. Yahweh appeared to Pharaoh in a dream. Yahweh appeared, okay, or gave him a dream, excuse me. He gave him a dream. Here, Yahweh himself appeared to Shlomo in a dream. And the question that he asked him is, tell me what I should give you. I'm bringing us here because I really want you to understand that you and I have the type of Elohim that's continually watching us, okay? Now, you might not think he's actively part of your life because you don't see him, but he's very well aware of everything that we're going through, and he knows exactly where we are and what we're doing. And he also knows what kind of life you and I are living, okay? So Shlomo said, he said, you showed your servant David, my father, much grace, okay? And he lived before you honestly and righteously, having an upright heart with you. You preserved this great grace for him by giving him a son to sit on his throne. Okay, so that great grace is the continuance of the family. And as it is the case this day, okay, or today, excuse me. So now, Yahweh, my Elohim, you have made your servant king in the place of David, my father. But I am a mere child. I don't know how to lead. This is what he said when Yah asked him, what can I tell me? What should I give you? This is what he responded to the Most High. Okay. And this is something that I think that you and I need to know that we can do. You and I need to go to the Most High and we need to ask him to teach us. We need to ask the Most High to teach us. Okay. I'm going to show you something as well in the Psalms about David as well. So he said he didn't know how to lead, but his father left him a kingdom and he didn't know how to lead, right? So he's asking Yah for that. Then he says, moreover, your servant is among your people whom you chose, a great people, so numerous that they cannot be counted, okay? Therefore, give your servant an understanding heart, able to administer justice to your people so that I can discern between good and evil. For who is equal to judging this great people of yours? Okay. Right. So what I want to do is I want to focus on this portion here about having an understanding heart and also having the ability to discern. What do you remember about the Torah portion this week that told you about understanding and discernment?
Well, understanding.
Huh?
Go ahead.
I would say understanding and discernment in a way to lead, as Yosef was appointed to lead.
Uh-huh.
And I guess you can say he was young, but he understood because he was being prepared.
Yes. Very, very well. Also, too, I want to hear from you, Akoti Pam, before I continue. What was your thoughts?
I was just going to say that in interpreting the dreams, Yosef yielded actually to Yahweh's understanding,
Yeah.
because he was the one that interpreted it, and he did not take the credit for what Yah did.
Yes. Yes. That's good. That's good right there. Also, too, remember Paro recognized that wisdom. He recognized that understanding, right? And he understood what it was, and he said, you know, what person can do this job? You know, that because remember he said to Paro, because that's where we left off. In verse 37, it says that the proposal seemed good to both Paro and all his officials. What was interesting, everyone, is like when Paro told Joseph about his dreams, he said that he presented the dreams to his magicians. Okay. And in Hebrew, the magician is called a kartume. Okay. And a kartume it sounds like a cartoon. Okay. Which is very close to this because these people right here are the ones with a stylus, with a pen. Okay. So he called these people, when he had this dream, he called all the magicians and he asked them, okay, the cartume, and it said he asked and all the wise men, okay, his advisors to come. But when he's talking to Joseph, he doesn't mention the wise men. He doesn't mention them. He doesn't even mention them at all. He only mentions the magicians. Okay. So the cartume sounds like the cartoonist, because that's what they would do. So probably what they were doing using a stylus or a pen, what they were doing is they were using what they would call magic. Okay. And the magic is this. Hear me and hear me well, because you're going to continue hearing about these magicians. Okay. A magician does this. A magician is like a cartoonist. Okay. And what they do is they create a what?
An illusion.
They create an image or an illusion through an image. Okay. And then what they do, because these guys are using an image, in order for something to become real, they have to put a story behind the image in order for it to be real. Okay. And so I subscribe to the idea that Christianity is magic. It's about magic. Oh, it's magic. Okay. It's magic.
The God spells, right?
Yes, it's the God spell.
Gospels, God
Yeah.
spell.
So what they've done, everyone, is they created an image and then they attach a story. So this is not something new. This is something that's been going on for thousands of years, millennia. Okay. So if you have an image and you have a story, the image becomes alive. That's why the Most High says to make what? Lo what?
No other images.
Don't make
idols.
any images.
Mhm.
Don't take that stylus pen like Aaron did. He took a stylus. He took some kind of instrument and he made an image. And they said, look, Israel, here are your gods. See, then they got a story. So then they'll apply the story that the creator has done for them and ascribe that to the image. So everything that the Most High has done, they've now ascribed it to this guy. They've given credit to him. And they said that he's the rock. They said he's the angel of the Lord and all this kind of stuff. You see? And they gave the image. And now our people are so dumb. They say, well, this guy right here is, he was European, right? So we don't want that one. So we'll make him black. And that just makes it even better now. Now we can relate to what? To the image. You see? So Yah knows that he says, don't make any representation of nothing, male or female, bird, nothing. Because he knows how we are. Okay? So these people in Egypt are image makers. They had literally hundreds of gods and they had a whole bunch of magicians, and these people are trained. That's like when Moshe arrived, they were like, yeah, we can do that. They create an illusion. Who said the illusion? Was it you, Gil? It's the illusion that this is real. It's not real. You hear me? So the Most High is saying, look, don't get caught up in these cartoonists, these magicians who put these acts on for you. Okay. That's their job. They create cartoons. You understand? I can mention a cartoon right now, and half of you know who I'm talking about. Woody Woodpecker. You know, Tom and Jerry. Who's Tom and who's Jerry?
Aren't they jackals?
Tom is the cat, and Jerry is the mouse. You hear what I'm saying? So, you know, I say, Road Runner. You know who that is. You can put the image right there. Beep, beep. I say Bugs Bunny. Everybody knows that. But I tell you what, I say Smurfs. You know who that is? Because you got a story that goes with the image. But you tell somebody Yahweh, and what they gonna say? Who's that? What's that? You see? Okay. So listen here. So Pharaoh, he never mentions his wise men. He never one time mentions them. He asked his counselors, his servants. He said, I went to the magicians, but they didn't have an answer. Why did he mention the wise men? Why didn't Pharaoh mention his wise men when he was telling Joseph that I talked to the magicians and they couldn't tell me? Why did he mention the wise men that he went to? Just take a guess.
Maybe he wanted to give the impression that he was somewhat wise. I don't know.
He didn't want them to know that they were fools, because their wise men are attached to their gods. It's tied to the way that they live. Remember, in our Torah portion, it talks about how you couldn't sit with a Hebrew person. Okay, they thought it was an abomination to sit with the Hebrew person. Your gods is the structure of your nation and the way people live. So if he was to mention these people, then all of a sudden his wise men had become fools, and then you destroy the society. So he had omitted that on purpose. And this is the reason why Pharaoh says, since he's asking his servants around him, can we find anyone else like him? Talking about Yosef. The spirit of Elohim lives in him. See? Because he was impressed with what Yah had revealed to him. What's interesting here is that the Most High did not reveal his name to Pharaoh. He did not introduce himself to that nation in that way. He was only doing this for the sake of putting Joseph in a position to help the children of Yisrael and Yisrael himself. Okay? So since Elohim has shown us all this, listen, he says, there is no one as discerning and as wise. There's your connection. So like you said, Akoti, the Most High is the one who gives one the discernment and the wisdom. And what you and I can't do is we can't take credit for what Yah is doing. Let's be humble and let's not take credit for what he's doing. If he's making us successful, then let it be. The Yahweh has allowed this to happen. If there's any praise that needs to be given about any accomplishments in our life, let it be given to the one who's enabled us to do it, the one who's given this wisdom and is given this discernment. We'll talk more about the wisdom and discernment on Shabbat. Okay? Let's not take credit for Yah's work. If we boast, let's boast in him. That's what we can learn from this. Okay? So humility is a big part of you and I's success. Okay? Then, of course, because of this, and he said the spirit of Elohim, and it's not like he knew Yah, he thought surely the spirit of the gods are in him. Okay? The spirit of the gods. He didn't say singular. He said God's is in him. The spirit of the gods, like in the book, like the movie Troy. The gods, you see? So Yah is doing this to help and to show that he's in charge. As we discussed last on Yom Shalishi, I told you that the Most High had said that he's going to bring that famine. Okay. I'm going to bring that famine, and that famine is called Ra'av. Okay. Ra'av. And here's that word Ra in it. And Ra was the name of the sun god that they worship. So Yah is saying that he's in charge. He's letting them know that I'm in charge of famine. I'm in charge of that which is good, Tov and Ra. I do it from all the way on both ends of the spectrum. I do it all. Okay. And that's our Elohim. And so Pharaoh makes him in charge of his whole entire house, and he gives him charge of the whole entire land. Over here, back in 1 Kings, verse number 9, that's why Shlomo is asking the Most High for understanding. Okay, and he's asking him for an understanding heart. He's asking him for a heart that's able to administer justice, right, to Yah's people, so that I can discern and know the difference between good and bad. Because often too, we have our own opinion, and if we try to come up with our own ideas about what's good and what's bad, like they did in Genesis chapter number 2 and 3 or 4, then you and I are going to have some problems. You and I are going to have to let Yah be Yah and have to accept what he considers to be Tov and what he considers to be, why, look at me, man, I'm a trip. I'm writing in English and then I write in Hebrew, Ra. Okay? Tov and Ra, okay? Because when you're dealing with Yahweh's people, you're going to have to understand this. And what he was asking for was the ability to judge, okay? What he was saying is, I want to help be able to decide cases, okay? And which has to do with arguments. I want to be able to help, keep spelling wrong. I want to be able to help in these situations around Yah's people. So that tells us something about us as a people and about the nation. Yah lets us know that in any situation, no matter who you are, there will be arguments. There will be someone who is right and there will be someone who is wrong. There will be someone that is Tov and there will be someone that is Ra. Okay. And I want to share an example of that, because immediately after the Most High has done this, he has his first case. Okay. So what Shlomo had said is, in making this request, because that's what he made, is please the master. They got Adonai here, but it's not this. It's called, he's the master of masters. It doesn't even say Yhwh. It says master of masters. Okay. Because Yahweh is the master, even of the kings. And he says, Elohim said to him, because you have made this request, instead of asking for long life, number one, and second, for riches for yourself or your enemy's death, okay, or rather you ask for yourself for understanding to discern justice. That's what you ask for, okay? Shlomo is known to be one of the wisest men or kings that have ruled. And he says, I am doing what you requested. Here's a king of the heavens giving to the king on the earth what he requested. Okay. And it pleased the Most High that he asked him this. It was very happy with him. Okay. Because he loved Yahweh, first of all. And when you love Yah and that's you drawn to him and you're thinking about his house and you're thinking about his people, you and I can ask for this. This is what you and I need to ask for. We need to ask for understanding. We need to ask for discernment about Yahweh's ways, about Mishpatim. Okay. And he says, I'm going to do this for you. I'm doing what you requested. I'm giving you a wise and understanding heart, so that there has never been anyone like you, and nor will there ever again be anyone like you. So right here, a lot of us like to just stop. Okay. A lot of us just like to stop right there and say, well, he just gave it to him, so there's no sense of me asking. There's no sense in me asking because I'm not ruling all of the people. But what he asked for, and I want to be clear with this. He asked Yah to give him that so he can rule his people, Yah's people. Okay? Which this doesn't disqualify you and I from asking for this to rule ourselves. You see? So your request can still be honored. It will and it shall be. If you and I if we love Yahweh, this is what you should be after. Okay? Because we're not trying to rule Yahweh's people. What we're trying to do is rule ourselves. We're trying to get command over ourselves. We're trying to get command over the way that we think. We're trying to get command over our emotions. You want a mashal, right? Because mashal means to rule, right? The mashal is to rule. So you're asking Yah to give you rulership over oneself. Okay? And the way that he'll give it to us is through the Torah. Okay? Then he said, I'm also giving you what you didn't ask for. That's our Elohim. Okay? And in context, he's dealing with him, the riches, the great honor. Okay, the honor greater than any king throughout your life. Throughout your life. Not throughout lifetime, throughout your life. Okay, so you'll be better than any king throughout your life. So there won't be no king greater than you in the time that you're living. Okay, more than that. If you will live according to my ways, obeying my laws and my mitzvot, like your father David, I will give you a long life. What a promise. You see? And then connection to our Torah portion, Shlomo awoke, which is our word quates. Okay? He awakened and he found it to been a dream. Did that dream come true? Yes, it did. Okay. But he went to Yerushalayim and he stood before the ark of covenant of Yahweh and offered up burnt offerings and peace offerings. And he also made a mishteh for his servants. He had a great feast. And after this, there came to the king 2 women who were prostitutes. Okay. And they presented themselves. And of course, I'll let you guys read that story on your own. It's about a baby that was born. And you see how the king executed that judgment that he asked the Most High for. So as soon as he asked for this, and he needed it. He needed this right then and there because his first case, yeah, y'all read Disney, Mickey Mouse. Yes, Disney's a big illusionist, big time. Okay, so let's look at that. So everyone's clear that you have a right to ask. I know a lot of times we don't think we do, but we have a right to plead before the Most High and ask him for wisdom and understanding. I want to read to you. Oh, maybe I should do this. I already did. Now I'll explain that on Shabbat. I don't want to do that. I don't want to take away from the study. I want to give you a little taste of this before you leave tonight. I want to encourage you. Okay. Part of our studying during the week has to do with the Psalms as well. Okay. So in Psalms chapter 119, David talks about, by the way, I don't know if you guys know this, but each one of the Psalms is divided into the Hebrew alphabet. Okay. So for the first 1 through 8 is the Aleph. Okay. The bet is going to be 9 through 16, I think, 9 through 16 or 17. I got to double check. And then so every 8 verses is a letter. Okay. And in each of those letters, the Aleph, they'll use it. And I got to show it to you. I don't want to not show it to you. I have to show it to you. I'll come back to that later. Just for those of you who don't know this, it'll be good information for you to understand. The entire Hebrew alphabet is used in Psalms 119. David used it on purpose. Okay. All 22 letters. Okay. So the first, like I said, 8 are used, or they're used in Aleph. Okay. So as you can see right here, the Aleph is used in the first part. The second one, Ashrei, Ashrei. And he tells you what that is. But let me show you verse number 3 and 4. 3 has an Aleph. 4 has an Aleph, 5 has an Aleph, 6 has an Aleph, and 7 has an Aleph, and then finally 8 has an Aleph. Okay. Then verse number 9 is going to go to the bet. The next one is a bet. Okay. The next one, 11, is a bet, and so forth and so on. Okay. So when you read in a Bible Hub, look that up and look at the first words that are being used. One of the words or letters that I really tripped off was that he uses the hey. Okay, and if you've been in my Hebrew class, you know that the hey has to do with that which is causative. So there's the Gamil, and then there's the Dalet, and here's the hey. Okay, so the hey, every one of the heys here are in this form here, which is called causative. Okay, so the Hiphael is a causative form. It means this is the way that the action has to happen. It means that he's asking Yah to cause him to be taught. Okay, that's what he's asking him, right? And he's doing it with what they call an imperative. An imperative is a command from a first person to someone else. So here, David is directly talking to Yahweh, and he says, "Hore nani, Yahweh, teach me, cause me to be taught the way, the direct of the kukeka. I want to know that so that I can guard it. I will keep it until what? Until the end, right? That's what I want to do, because our cave also means the end. So every one of those in the haze in this in particular Psalms have to do with this idea of causation. So it's really fascinating, because in the Hebrew language, that's exactly what the hay is used for on the beginning of a word. And here again, Havieni, right? Cause me to understand. Another, he's asking, so he's literally giving a command, because this is a command. Okay. So you say, what kind of command is it? It's a great desire. And that's what, because that's what a command is, or what a wish is. Okay. Well, we don't call them wishes. We call it a desire. So Yah doesn't have a problem with you telling him what your desire is. So if you notice, Shlomo it wasn't something he just made up when he got in that dream. That was something that he's been meditating upon, and something he's been thinking about, right? So the Most High is asking us to change our frequency and establish a better relationship with him, where you and I don't necessarily have to wait for a dream. I don't have to wait for a dream, because we're not trying to rule the world, okay, or rule a nation. We actually get involved right now by asking Yah to cause something to happen in our lives. Okay. So when I read this, I said, you know what? There's a lot of this, what they are asking Yah to cause to happen for them. Am I not taking advantage of this opportunity? Right? Because we always get opportunities available to us. And so we're not really maximizing this relationship. And I think too, because we're in exile, we feel like we're hindered. We don't feel like we're worthy. We don't feel, what good would it do me being in exile to ask for this, because I really have nowhere to exercise it? Well, you do have somewhere to exercise it. You can exercise it in your own life. You can exercise it with your own well-being. You can exercise it within your household. You can exercise it with your diet. You can exercise it with your emotions. You can exercise it in your business. You can exercise in your physical health. You can exercise this. Okay. So every one of those verses right here. So I want you to teach me in 33. I ain't gonna read all of it, right? Then 34 is, I want you to cause me to have understanding. Okay. And then also too, verse 35, cause me to walk. Cause me to walk on the path of your commandments. And then also to hate, cause me to incline my heart, to give myself over to you, to spread out my heart. Make room for your testimonies, right? And then he asked, cause at 37 to turn away my eyes. Cause me, right? And then 38 is cause me to be established. Establish me in your word where I'm devoted. So they understood something, everyone, that you and I need to understand. You and I don't possess what's really necessary. Okay, we don't possess this. These are things. The reason why Yah chose us as a people is to give stuff to us. That's why. And because we didn't like the fact that he said that you can't do this and you're not going to do this and you shall not and this and that, and you think that that's bondage, it's not. Is in order to keep us in alignment with the Most High. Okay. So if you look at Psalms 119, verse number 1, it says, how happy, how excited should a person or those whose way of life is blameless. Okay. That word blameless, like right there, is that word right here. They call it tamime, right? And so, or tamime means to be complete, undefiled. Okay. It means to come to a point of maturity. I need you to have maturity when you're walking with me in the right, who's consistently participle walking, talking about Kim, them, plural, the people, which are the people on Zoom right now, who are constantly, presently, that's an ing participle, in the Torah of Yahweh. There's a whole bunch of other so-called instructions, but the instructions that you and I are part of are the instructions that came from him. So you run into people and they don't want to listen to what you're saying, is because they're going to be miserable. They're never going to be ashrei. They're not going to be happy. They're not going to be mature in this way. Your maturity comes from continually walking in the Torah of Yahweh. Okay. Which is walking, why? By the voice of Yah. Okay. This instructions, listening carefully to Shema. Okay. Those are going to be happy. Those, plurality, okay, masculine, plural, common, who are constantly guarding, notzre, meaning guarding currently. You see? So there's this walk, and this walk has to do with the way that you live your life, okay? And who are guarding his testimonies, his adotha. His adotha were the 10 words. How do you guard his words? How are you guarding constantly? Well, you have a doctor's appointment or you got a construction appointment and they want to do it on Saturday. You're like, no, we don't. I got Sabbath. I can't do it. Well, we're going to throw a party over here on this. I can't. Well, I'm not going to be able to do it. You're not telling me it's the Sabbath. Like, I'm not going to do it. You guard. Well, I got something else to do. You understand? And how do they do this? They do it with a bakol. They do it with that wholeness, that with is the in, right? The tent, or on, or upon, right? With all, call. And what is the call? The call is the taming. Someone who is ready and able to do the work. That is called preparation. But it has to do with the willingness. You see? So now you're doing it with all of your mind. And what? Yira deshuhu, you're seeking Yahweh. That's the reason why you're doing this. But even while you're doing this and you're putting forth your effort, and I'm not sending a double message, because we just read in the verses 33 through 41, he just told us straight up that he asked him to cause some things to happen in his life. Because David understood something. When he begins, he says, well, this is how it's going to be for the people who do this. Okay, who are doing it. But also, too, is the ones that God will cause to understand it. I'm going to be honest with you. Sometimes I just don't know what to talk about. Sometimes I just like, wow, it seems like I'm going in circles, like I've already discussed this before. But I'm in a place right now where I'm asking Yah to give me something more than what I understand. And I think that's where we need to go. We don't need to go to the point of, well, I know this now. I'm good. I'm set. I got everything I need. I'm good. I'm on autopilot now. No, with Yah, there's always going to be a continuation of learning and a continuation of thriving and a continuation of seeking. It's always going to be that. You and I can never know enough about the Most High. I don't want to know secrets from the Most High so I can, take advantage of anybody. I don't want any secrets given to me or any wisdom or discernment given to me so I can say, aha, I know more than you. Or to minimize somebody. No, I want to be someone like Yosef who was able to take the gift and take what Yah gave him, like Shalom and all of them and David, and use it for the benefit of everybody else. See, the story is not about Joseph, it's about what Yah was doing through Joseph. It's about how Yah has foreseen what needs to be done. And when you and I are the ones who go through this process, if you were to understand the mission and to understand the plan and kind of grasp that concept and start looking for answers before the end and start saying, okay, well, if Yah's intention is to make me a light to the nations and to have me teach the nations and the people, what must I do to get closer to understanding who he is so I can be able to perform that as his soon-to-be servant who's actually in operation to help those people? That's what you and I have to live for. And it's a selfless life. It's a selfless life. It means that you might have to suffer a little bit. And it means that you might have to go be locked down for a while. It may mean that you might lose your family. It may mean that a lot of bad stuff might happen to you because Yah's in charge of the good and the evil, the Tov and the Ra. And are you and I willing to go through that? That's the question. To get what Yah is asking for, to bring about praise for him, or are we just in this for ourselves? You see, I told you few days ago that you can only work for Yah or praise Yah for you and learn for Yah for you, which is true. Ultimately, for us to become what Yah wants us to become for others. See, you and I cannot expect to give to someone when you and I don't possess ourselves. So this is the goal, okay? Verse 3, it says also, lo, these people they pa'alu, they do not do awel. They do not do this awel, this iniquity, this injustice. Because what? They're in his ways, they walk. You see? We're walking in his ways. And also, too, he said in stuff, he said, you've commanded your puketaka to lishmor, to always listen and keep, to guard forever those ways that you've told us. Your pukudeka. The things that your accountings of what you oversee or what you put in our hands to oversee. You see, the words that he has spoken is guarding what Yahweh said. And he said, oh, that were directed my ways to lishmor de kukeka. He's asking, I wish that my ways were always directed towards keeping your kukeka, your decrees. And this word right here to be directed, right? You got that cough right there and you got that noon. Okay. And we're going to continue going. That cough is the palm of the hand and the noon is the seed. So it's the seed in the palm of the hand. And what happens when the seed's in the palm of the hand? It opens. So this is literally like talking about when I put the seed into the ground, it will open and it has a root. Therefore, if it has a root in the ground, it is established. So what is David saying? He's saying, oh, that my ways, not Yahweh's ways, my ways are rooted, not just directed, not just pushed towards Yah, but they're made firm. My ways are Yakoni or Yakonu, because he has several ways. Ways of what? My ways of thinking, my ways of reasoning, my ways of articulation, my ways of problem solving. You see? So he was human. And his desire was that he would be established his ways. So he has to create these ways, these thinkings. But he wanted what Yah to do is to have him rooted, to plant him. Then he says, then Oslo, I would never be ashamed when I look into all of your what? Of your commandments. As we continue in verse number 7. I wouldn't be ashamed. I will never be ashamed when I look at your mitzvot. Okay. When I'm looking at this, right? And I've been established in my ways have been established that, and I've been walking with you consistently on an ing level, presently, coming to you, seeking, loving, ing, praising. You see that? It's all in there. Okay, praising him, seeking him, loving him, clinging to him. If I'm doing all those things consistently, meditating, praying, you understand? Not only those positive things, but I'm also hating evil. I'm taking things out of my view. So this ing is literally saying, I'm working. I'm a work in progress. I'm always going to be doing something. Listen what I'm telling you. Something. Don't do some meth. I don't want you to do no meth. I'm doing, you understand? I'm ing, I'm inging. Okay? Moving. I'm constantly doing something for him because I am his servant. I'm literally preparing, as you see in our Torah portion. Those who are not prepared are going to have to pay. You see? You have to pay when you're not prepared, period. Okay? Let me try to get these last two verses in before we close, and I'll let you guys get some good night's sleep. He says, look at that Yhwh right there in verse 7. What's it at? I will praise you. No, I will be caused to praise you with uprightness. But shar is that which is straight up. Right? In my heart, a heart that's straight. You see, which is your heart is your mind, but my thoughts have been established in you. And when I do that, when I learn, but lamadi, when I'm learning, you get that lamad in there, that is to learn. That is to listen. Okay? That is to Yah to take this staff and direct you, okay, and guide you and prod you. You understand? And poke, as I've been telling you, and push us into the judgments of his righteousness. Because that is the way that you and I are going to have to always walk. So you and I have to get used to the fact that this is the way of life for us. And if you and I think that we have it solved and we got it all together and we've accomplished it, the level that we're on, hey, I'm good. No, we're doing ourselves a disservice. Okay. And finally, he mentions this meaning here. He points an arrow to the decrees of Yah, and he says, I will guard. Look, and he's asking right now, all. Remember, this is not a low. This is all. Right now, not now. Don't forsake me right now. Don't forsake me right now. So in essence, the Aleph represents the strength. And it's an ox That's what it is. And the ox is not sitting down. The ox is continually moving forward. The ox is on a path. David is asking like an ox needs to be guided. I want to be on the right path. I want my line when I'm an ox to be straight. I don't want to be all over the place because nothing is going to be productive. It's going to be confusion. So I'm asking like an ox to be led. I want to be on the right path. I want to do the right work. I want to do this because at the end of everything, because that's where our Torah portion, at the end of my life, I want to know that some kind of way I was yashar, I was right. I had some form of rightness in my life. I want to feel good when I pass away. When I stand before the Most High and I go into judgment, I want him to look at my life and say, you know what? You know, you were crooked and you were wicked and you were evil, but you know what you did? You decided that you wanted to walk right. You accepted that you needed help. You weren't prideful. You weren't arrogant. You didn't stand before me as if you didn't need help. And therefore, when you recognize the need in your own life, you'll stop looking at other people's lives and trying to figure out what they're doing. You'll worry about yourself. I got enough work on my own to worry about than worry about anybody else. Okay? Because right now, I don't want Yah to do this to me. I don't want him to azavaneni, okay, meaning to forsake me, to take me off. Why? Why did David don't want him to do that? Because he knows what the end is going to be. See, so this is really a heart that wanted the right thing. When you have a mind that says, you know what, I just saw something that I shouldn't be looking at. I'm not going to do this anymore. You know why? Because that's not me. That's not me. I don't like certain things anymore because that's not me. You know, it took me to have to go through some stuff with my body and my health to say, I can't eat that. And as bad as I wanted a brownie, you guys, it has too much sugar. As bad as I love, you know, chocolate chip cookies, I can't do it. You understand? As bad as you know what I'm saying? So you're going to have to give some things up in your life and plan on it because it's going to happen. Right? So not right now. Ask God to stay with you. Stick with me. I know that I'm stubborn. No animal by itself has enough intelligence to do these things on its own. It needs to be trained. It needs to be tamed. And that's what those verses are about, 1-8. And that's why that information, man, what's wrong with me? You guys, do you see me writing in Hebrew and the other way? I'm tripping. This is ox. This is what Shlomo wanted. This is what Shlomo grew up underneath. He had the type of father that was saying these things, and he took notice to it. And that's what you and I should do. David has written all this out for us, him and his sons and the prophets and the priests, so they can give us a clue while you're in exile, what to do and what to ask for. So with that, I would like to ask you to make sure that you ask Yah. We want to ask him for some wisdom. Man, what's wrong with me? Wisdom. Ask Yah for some wisdom and ask him for some understanding. Okay. And we'll learn more about that on Shabbat so you can really know. But just still ask for it. And he'll explain it to us on Shabbat about what it is. Let's see what he says about why we need this. Okay. Because that's what you and I need. Because that was what Yosef had demonstrated. That's what Shlomo had asked for. That's what David had knew that was required. And any person who, and that's what the nation of Israel has to have. We have to have this. Okay. And that's why you're studying. And that's why you're on class. It's because you're seeking Yah. And I don't want you to waste your time. If you want to seek him, then he'll give you the things that you need. Because it's not like we don't need it. We need this. You need wisdom, knowledge, and understanding in order to survive. Okay? In order for us to walk the walk that he wants us to walk. Praise be to the living Elohim for that compliment. Thank you. Thank you. Praise Yah. Ask him for that wisdom. Ask him for that understanding. And also too, he wants to teach us. And we are his children. And so we have access. Now, the other people out there, the Christians and Hebraians, will never know what Yah has. If King David is asking Yah and Shalom was asking Yah, then what does that tell you?
We should ask.
You and we're behind the ball. Okay. We're late to the game. We need to be asking for this. And we need to be asking wholeheartedly. Okay. So we can have some resemblance of, something good. You want something? I want something from Yah besides his breath. You know what I mean? A stomach, a tear. I want a hair, I want more. You see, I want the for real stuff. I want the real stuff. The only way you can get there is if you get close to him, if you love him and you say, okay, I want it. You say, you really want it? Yeah, I want it. But you better make sure that you really want it, because he ain't going to give it to you if you ain't for real. I want that for my day. For real. That's what I want. And I would want you to have it too. Because Yah is so rich in mercy, isn't he? Yeah. And those are gifts. So if he wants to give us, ask him for a gift, ask him for that. David said that the stuff that Yah was giving him is more precious. He said the commandments were more precious than gold. You see? So we got to be careful to ask for the right stuff. Any questions, concerns, contributions? If not, I enjoyed the study tonight. I really did. It was organic. It was for real. It was for real. We serve a living Elohim. Yes, we do. Praise be to our Elohim.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Well, Lila told to everyone, and if the creator of the heavens and the earth is willing, he'll allow us to see each other again. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Toda.
Lila told. Toda, everyone. Toda.